Earlier this hour, we told you about Poway Elementary School students returning to the classroom. Most kids, though, still learning from home as districts work out ways to safely return to in-person learning on a large scale. During the pandemic, we have heard stories about the impact being stuck at home is having on kids. Rady Children's Hospital says they have seen an increase in visits. So joining us to talk about that is the hospital's Senior Director of Behavioral Health, Sandy Mueller. First of all, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
So can you explain what kinds of problems with kids you've been seeing?
Well, both mental health and child abuse issues have been more prevalent for us. We are seeing about a 5 to 7% increase in mental health issues for our kids coming into the emergency room. Keep in mind that we have a high rate of kids that come into our emergency room pre-COVID for mental health issues. And with this increase, it really has exacerbated a lot of the things that we're seeing our kids having increased stressors due to being at home, a lot of depression and anxiety attributed to the school pressures, not being able to manage the curriculum online or through Zoom, loss of their social network, loss of peers, loss of rites of passage in their development. For our teenagers and for the littler ones, we're seeing a lot of stressors, both by parents and children, in managing at home and being at home with their kids 24/7.
Yeah, the pandemic certainly, and everything that goes with it, has been hard enough on adults, let alone on children, some of whom, the younger ones who may not even quite understand what is happening and why it's taking so long. Can you talk a little bit more? You mentioned child abuse, and that's certainly been a concern since this started. What are you seeing with regard to that, knowing that a lot of these kids are now at home, not going to school, where teachers, administrators may be able to see them and see signs that they need help?
Yeah, initially when COVID first happened, we saw about a 60% reduction in calls to the child abuse hotline. And working with our community partners at Child Welfare, this was pretty concerning for us. Then the acuity factor for the kids coming into our emergency room has been very high. A lot of abuse injuries, parent stressors, increase in substance use, loss of job, food insecurity, neglect. So we're seeing the ramifications of that in our emergency room. The children have lost their resource. They've lost that social network or the place to go tell. The school is that social construct for them. It really helps develop the eyes and ears from the community. It's that organic place that kids can be and be safe for a period of time. So if they're in their home and they have an abuser in the home, they can't escape it. And so we're seeing the acuity go up in injuries here in our emergency department.
Sandy, what can we as a community do to help address this?
Well, I think there's been a lot of support and in talking to the school districts about making sure that the teachers are more aware and more tuned in on the Zoom education, having them do that, having children being in programs after school. The slow opening will probably create a bit of a boomerang effect where we may see more or an increase because the children are able to reach out and tell, or they'll be observed as having issues that need attention. So I think as we slowly integrate back in, I think the community just needs to be prepared to look at those needs of our children and make sure that we're being aggressive in addressing them.
Rady's Senior Director of Behavioral Health, Sandy Mueller, thank you so much for all that you're doing and for joining us to give us a little bit of enlightenment about what's happening right now.
Thank you.